All right, we are back. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well. We are back. We are back. Gonna just let the Discord know that we are live again. We did a stream this morning or this early afternoon. We streamed for about 4 hours. Took a little break, and now I'm back. I'll probably stream for maybe about hour and a half here. Just a quick one, and just do a little bit more learning before we start the new week here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. That's cute. Okay. All right. So in our last stream, we were able to. Hey, Jordan Woods, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you for stopping by tonight. How you doing? You getting ready for Monday tomorrow? Boo. All right. So in our last stream, oh yeah, that's my dog Sky. She's the best. Miss Sky. She just likes to sleep. It's just been cold, so it's harder and harder to been getting outside. But I take her on a walk, at least a couple walks, and play with her with the ball. But she's sleeping right now. I got her. I got her. She's about to turn 7 years old. I got her right before I went to college, and we've been together ever since, her and I. So we're best buds. Um, okay, so in the last stream, we established an item, or we refactored our code here to establish um, a singular item class rather than having sub child classes of for sale item and sold items. So now we just have a single item class, and we carried over the date listed, listing price, date sold, and sold price over into the this class rather than inheritance. And then what we're doing, the whole goal with that was is um, we we have this binary search here that now we don't even need because we are able to access our items in constant time rather than log n time. And so constant time is a lot better than log n time. Constant time is the best, right? So for a big O, in fact. So, and how are we able to do that? Well, by some suggestions of people in the chat and in um, we are now using a dictionary, right? We were using a dictionary before and having the keys be the distinction between the different classes and the child classes thereof. But now we are having the keys be the item numbers themselves and the value be the associated item. So the dictionary will be just larger, but that doesn't really matter because if you think about it, we can just access dict at dict index key, right? And if it exists, we return the item that exists for that key. We return the value, and it is just in constant time. There is no need to split a list and search for items. There is no need to um, do a binary search. There is no need to do a linear search in this case, right? So now what we can do is now what we can do, let me just clean this up a little bit. So find edit item, right? If the user presses 1, we're going to run a loop and get an item number. So we're going to say if not between 1, if user input, right, is not between 1 or the length of all items dot keys, right? We can remove all of this And now what we're doing is we are first inspecting if the input provided is between 1 or the length of the all items keys, right? That will just tell us whether or not right away that the user provided a value that exists. Um, if not, we'll produce a value error. Um, so then the thing is if we are now accessing keys rather than um, right, if we're accessing keys, would our would our can integers be dictionary keys? Because before, right, we were converting item numbers, the input from a stir to an integer with, and then using this try and except to catch that the user entered in the wrong and incorrect, data type. But now, do we need to convert to integer? Are key values for dictionaries required to be stirs? Because you do go do like quote, right? Now, what if this wasn't a stir, right? What if I'm because we're gonna have to update this as well. So let's ask the almighty orb, can dict keys be stir? I mean, shoot, int. Yes, dictionary keys in Python has to be integers. Okay, so we will keep it as an integer then, because I think it's being treated as an integer still from here. We get an item number from the user, and we convert it when we add item, right? When we add items to the user, when we add items for item number, I'm sorry, the I'm also what do you guys think for how to better organize? I need to get better. I've organized I've organized um like somewhat by putting process functions and operational functions, but now I've added a kind of a few more features to the point where I'm starting to get lost in my code here. Anybody have any suggestions for how to break things up? Like, should I just import all my operational functions from a separate file? Would that be wise? So, where was I? Again, we already did a stream today, and so I might be a little bit slower this evening. I gotta warm back up here. I went and just sat on the couch and doom scrolled and ate some food while I took my dog out. Um, okay, so we're checking if it's within the length of all the keys. If not, we'll get this. So we need to keep it as an integer. So then now we don't need to run this. We will just say, and this, we don't need to do that. Let's go. Um, we will say, hey, override tips. Dictionary keys can be objects too. Oh, interesting. Thank you so much for that advice. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you for being here. General Talks, hello, welcome back. How you doing? Welcome tonight. How are you doing? I know we did a double feature yesterday. We're doing a double feature today. I just time's gonna pass anyways. Might as well go live and learn some stuff. If I'm just gonna be chilling like on my weekends, I might as well just keep being productive. Just keep going. Okay. So we are building a small business manager right now, where Before we had parent classes and child classes for items, for sale items, and sold items, but we refactored today due to some suggestions from, pardon me, the chat and from our Discord followers that the it was becoming a little bit too complex, especially when we were trying to search through things, and we implemented a binary search, and um, it was just starting to get a little bit more complex than maybe we needed it to. So we just needed to keep it simple, really. And so we dumbed it down into just a single item class. We stuck the attributes that were in the child classes into here as well, and kind of set them as flags with through this terminology. Like if the user provides it, we can override. Else, we just need to keep it as none. And so with that effect, when we save, we get these placeholders for those data values, which is neat. So now we can actually you know, update these for when we transact those items through the transactions menu. So, and then the whole goal for this project is just to track all these inventory, track the transactions from inventory to sales, manage maybe expenses as well, and then formulate all that together to provide necessary business reports for small business owners, right? Maybe not a lot of people know how to the reports work or how to formulate them or even how to manage inventory and provide cost of good reports and stuff like that. I was an accounting major for 2 years in college, or a year and a half before I switched over to biology, human biology, where I have a major in human biology and a bachelor of science and a minor in chemistry. And I work as a formulation chemist right now. So I do have some knowledge though of how kind of small businesses and accounting works and stuff. And then I currently do run a small business with my girlfriend where this would be very helpful to have rather than me doing it all through Excel manually. So yeah, that's the jive for today. And also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure that if you could just like along. I never really I forgot that the likes thing exists, but if they help the channel grow and we can get more people in here to participate, it's always so much fun when we have lots of people in here chatting it up, providing feedback on what we're building and stuff. So and and then also we do live learning in our streams as well. But I'm just kind of wanting to build this right now because I'm really into it for the time being. Um, for the live learning, we're reading Data Structures and Algorithms in Python. I'm reading the whole book aloud, working through all the examples, practice problems, and yeah, really getting a good knowledge of DSA. We implemented binary search yesterday. It was cool. So I guess you wouldn't I guess you're kind of correct. You wouldn't need all of these on instantiation. Um, I mean, they have defaults as none, so they just get initially provided as none. But when you create items, um, so when I'm doing run add item, we get a size, and you only are required to technically give those those necessary 5 from above from here forward. So I guess I could put them below and just remove them from needing to be inside the self as in general. What is going on with my mouse? Okay, so where are we at? Um, Run that item. Okay, generate item number. Let's take this back. Whoops. What's going on here? Okay. All right. So we need to do the find edit item, right? So if it's not between one or user input, we print this error and continue the loop. And then right here, right, if we can get in, we will say retrieve we will do right here is get what is it called, find item by, and then we'll say we need to refactor this now. So we don't need a binary search here. It's a good pattern to look at when you have a constructor that entails multiple variables, but those variables may not be needed upon instantiation, but they can be added with ease if needed. Just a way to make life easier for adding more objects on top of that class in the future. You should look at a builder pattern. Interesting. Do you have a reference or something? Okay, so we don't need to do this then. We don't need to do all this. This is gone. So if item number, if the filter that they provide is item number, or target, all we need to provide is target. And then attribute, right? Target and attribute. So we'll provide target and attribute. So if attribute is equal to quote item number that they provide, we are going to retrieve so they gave a number here. So we'll take target, we're going to retrieve all items at target. Now, do I have to when accessing a dict key that is a int, do you still have to wrap in quotes? No. Okay. So target, this is just not indexing, it's just accessing the key because this is a dict object, it's not a list, so it's not an index, we're accessing the key associated with target provided, the number. We're going to just return this value. And then we need to say if attribute is equal to quote so we can add in some additional maybe functionality to search by other parameters, right? Maybe not by item number, but by name or by so I wonder, what do you think about this? If I were to instead, no, not instead, it's like if I want to ask, like right now we have a searching by item number. Um, if I were to instead want to search by name, should I, to keep things quick, could I take the item number from the object, take the key that the object is being housed by, swap those values, and then constant time search the key. Constant time access the key. Now the thing is every name would have to be unique in order to do that. So that maybe would not work because names could potentially have the same, like dress, dress, shirt, shirt, like if it was really simple, right? So Probably not that. But so right now the search is pertaining to the key exactly. So we are. Hello, Anthony. Welcome back. Appreciate you joining in this evening. It's good to have you here for your wisdom. um, all right. So right now we have the all items dictionary, and we're just accessing the target. Right. So um, now if attribute in the case of elif attribute is equal to quote um, item name. So it's called, yeah, item name. We'd have to do something else, right? We'd have to do something here. Elif attribute is equal to quote. We add another search parameter of so here we'll say found item is equal to find item by, and then we're going to provide a value, which is going to be user input, and we're going to provide an attribute, which is going to be equal to quote item number, right? So then we're just going to print the found item right now to test it. So if the user presses 2, though, they can search by item name. So we'll have to implement that. And if they press 3, they can search by date created. So they can filter, they can search by the date created attribute. So we need to work in some sort of, working carousel almost that will take in the attribute and just access the variable attribute that was given for variable or for object dot variable, right? Attribute is provided, and we need to access the item associated with it. So maybe the fastest thing to do would be to actually, if you know the item name, maybe you already know the item number somehow. Maybe we could associate it somehow, I don't know. And so we could just immediately go to the number through the key, and then just go to the name from there wouldn't be just a constant like O of 1 with just a what a 2 O of 1 O of 2 whatever. So it'd just be constant time, but it wouldn't really matter. It would just be two constant operations together. Um, but we have to think of how would we think about if we need to know the key? I mean, if we want to know the item name, I want to search by item name, how could we know the number already from the name, if that's possible? Okay. Airsick Titan, how's it going? Tuning in. Yes, welcome back. Yes, we did fix things from yesterday. We refactored this all down. It's all new here, and we changed up all of this. We've been working on it. We did about 4 hours of work earlier. Not 4 hours, about 2 hours of work earlier. We did about 2 hours of work on the on the crappy recursion problem. Not crappy. This hard recursion. Not hard either. They're probably pretty simple for other people, but for me, they're challenging. Those recursion problems were a real mind twister, but it's good that we went through that mental exercise because it'll just mean we'll get better at them. We'll get more familiar. Okay, so let's go ahead and I think we can test this out. No? Oh, okay. So I'm gonna test this out. Okay, let's test it out here. Enter in, go into inventory, find edit item. We want to find item number. So we have items, we only have 7 items in our list. So let's just put in 7. Okay. Um, Object type, built-in function or method has no length. Length all item dot keys. Oh, we need a this. Inventory, find edit item number 7. Okay. Key error 7. Hmm. For KV in the list comp name of dictionary dot items, you can manipulate it pretty easily too. For key value in list name of dictionary dot items. Oh, awesome. The only way to keep it constant would be to make the name the key, so you'd need another hash map where the key is the name and the value is the list of all the item numbers that have that name. Gotcha. Make sure your key isn't a string. I thought so. I'm converting. So is it loading in? Okay, so let's go to the load file. It's inting my item number here. So what it's reading it and it's creating it as an integer. Oh, there we go. It's making a string right here. We don't want to do that. We were converting it to a string right there. Cool. That's cool. We found that pretty quick. Wow, look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? We found that quick. All right, so we converted. That was getting converted to a string. Now let's try it again. Go in, inventory, find edit item, item number 7. Oh! Woo! A hard day's work. We found number 7. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now what if we put in 8? Error, 8 not found. What if we put in -1? Not found. What if we put in ABC? Please enter an integer number. Awesome. Woohoo! Look at that. If you're opening a CSV manipulating, you should use open method. Are you using it? Yeah, we are. Up here. Everybody's giving love. Everybody's giving love. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so now we actually. Okay, that's super cool. So we need to provide. What's our next step here? Right now that we got that out of the way. Now we have to think about what's next. So the next step is we have the item in our possession. So we can prompt the user for another menu to what would you like to do with this item? Edit item or transact item? I think are our two options, right? You can either edit, transact, edit or transact, because we also have to think if I don't think we want the user to be able to remove items, because then that would essentially cause because that would just be a gap in the item number chain, right? Now it would still like we could still sort the keys in their order, right? But mm, it's tough. What do you guys think? If mm, losing my train of thought here. So the user, we if they remove items, there will be just a gap in the item number chain. I mean, we could shrink all items down, but then that would just ruin your like knowledge of what item was what if you had like physical cards that you had made associated with each item, right? And tagged it. So you could physically find it easy to and act, oh, I have it in my hands, right? It's item this, blah blah blah. So if you remove the item completely, like as if you just wanted to not offer it anymore, it would just have to remain in the database as a like a void item. We could add a parameter to void and just say like this item is just no longer being included in like our parameters. Like it's not even like an item that we want to include in like if we are trying to make percentages of how much we have in inventory versus how much we have for sale versus sold. Like we wouldn't want it then included in that factor. So it would just be void. I think that's probably what we should do, right? Give it an attribute, a switch to be active item or void, meaning that it's no longer serviceable to customers, right? Or no longer offered on the storefront. But it still has to be remain, I think, to just have that. So we have a we added a a listing price and a date listed. So if there's a date listed, then it just can be inferred that it is for sale, right? So that's kind of like my switch indication. You could just set the for sale to false if they want to remove that. But what if the user wants to like remove the item from the entire database, right? If they remove the entire from we'll have a gap in our item number sequence. And so it would technically cause, based on how we have it right now, we take the length of the keys to determine our next item number. And so if we had a gap, our item number would then be duplicated on the next ad for after one was removed. Exactly. Our length would go down by one, so our item number would be increased by one, thus receiving the same item number as the last item in the keys dictionary. So how could we combat that? Like I think we just have the item attribute set to void, like a status attribute, active or void, and yeah, I think that's what it needs. What do you guys think? So that just sucks because whenever I have to go add a new attribute, I have to edit a bunch of crap. Like it's just I do. So it's just the reality of it. Instead of taking the length, just have some global variable keeping track of the amount of items added. So, think about but what about this? Like think about if we remove it from the database completely and just delete it, the user also can't easily add it back. They have to re-instantiate the whole object over again. Like what I think just having a flag for active or void based on the shop's preference for whether they want to. I'm talking about like if it's just like in inventory, like they have an item that just they can't get to sell, they can't get to like whatever they what something, and so they aren't offering it anymore, but it's still in their possession somehow, right? And you still have to report that item tax wise that you bought it, right? It's still a cost of a good for that tax year, and if you carry it over, it can be technically like a depreciating asset in some cases. So we do not want to remove and just delete the item from the database because we can't track it still, like all those aspects of when we bought it, how much we paid for it. Um, it would leave a deficit on our balance sheet at the end of the tax year or whatever. So we have to leave it in the database, keep it within that item number. Once you add an item, it is forever in the database at that item number, but you can switch it on and off whether you want to, you know, consider that item, you know, part of your system anymore, but it still will remain embedded within the file. Yeah, I think that's a good approach. What do you guys feel? You think I'm dumb? Tell me I'm dumb. Okay. You can use a flag, just make sure to update your program to know if it's an item is active or not. Yeah. So currently, do we have anywhere in our program where we would need to like transactions doesn't do anything. Inventory, all we can do is add an item. Maybe we could tell it to set active or not, or just by default it's active in the inventory until we override it by editing it. So right now, currently, we don't have anywhere that would, track the item voidness. So it would be a good time to add it now if we wanted to. Since you're choosing action based off input, why not use a switch case rather than the elif chain? Since you're choosing action based off input, why not use switch case rather than elif chain? What do you mean by that? Sorry, I'm a beginner, so I'm still wrapping my head around stuff. Um, self.active equals true in initialization. Okay, so we don't have to make it a guaranteed parameter, right? In fact, none of these are needed except for the date created gets generated automatically and can be overrode. We'll just set, why even do this? Let's just get rid of these. Let's just set these to none. Right? Let's just set these to none. Get rid of them, get rid of the forced aspect that they have to be included in the initialization, because we were kind of just reiterating ourselves by doing these if statements. So we will just say this. We need to do this for the date created because I want to have the automatically using today. So then we can remove these guys. And the only optional parameter is date created now. But we get when it's instantiating an item. But we get these other attributes on the back end. So now we don't need to go through and like do too much editing as well. So now we can add in a self dot active is equal to none, or is equal to true by default. So we set the active to true by default. Or should we set it to false by default, and then when instantiated by the user, have the ask the user to set active in the database, or just by default set it to active? I think maybe just by default would be probably the easier thing to do. Foolproof Pearl. Can you give me an example of the switch based you were talking about? I'd love to learn more. And thank you so much for joining. Same with you, Jocelyn. I appreciate your self.active. We put that in right here. Thank you so much for that. That was great suggestion. Cool. So self-active equals true. Now, let's make sure nothing's broken. Well, we got something broken. Um, so item in it got expected keyword date listed. You mean date created? Date created. Um, the initialization got unexpected keyword argument date listed. So our date listed is right here. It's being passed. So then are we creating unexpected keyword? I have date created here. Self.date listed equals none. Let's go to our load file function. Ooh. Okay, so we are trying to get so should we keep these attributes up top in our file, or do we only care about just the select few? Do we want to display all the attributes in the file? So loads, we're loading date listed. I'm passing in parameters my constructor does not have. Oh, here, right? So we'll get rid of here. These need to go away. So now we just have number, name, size, cost, and created. But I need to set these items on this item, right? I need to set these values that were retrieved from the file. So, right, because I have a date, I'm receiving this from the file, but I'm not doing anything with it. So we need to save everything on the file because we need to then read everything back from the file. So this is where like maybe like JSON would probably come in handy, but we're not using that right now. So we need to read it. We still need to take these values from the file, and we also need to add in an active equals row 9, right? So we need to, right here, we need to set item dot date listed equals date listed, item dot listing price is equal to the listing price, item dot um, could I just unpack all of these at once on one line of code rather than calling item dot for each one? Could I just call item dot comma 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 and then unload all of these? I wonder. Let's try it. Let's try it. Could you do like something like this? I wonder. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, whatever. Item dot listing price equals to listing price. Item dot date sold is equal to date sold, and then item dot sold price equals to sold price. Item dot active equals to active. Okay, cool. Now what? So we retrieved them from this file. So after we gather the item and instantiate the item, we then can set these internal parameters that aren't needed for the creation of the item rather. And so we set them here, and then we load the item as the key item number with the item itself as the value into the loaded items, and then we return the loaded items at the end of this function. Now we probably could just say return loaded item. No, that says 4, so that would just return it at that point. So no, we have to keep it there. And then let's move up our try here, like so. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Okay. So we're returning loaded items. Now let's try it. So we're going in. We have items here. So we should be receiving these items. We have an active parameter now, though. So I'm going to delete these items here. Let's start and go over one. Inventory. Add item. Test. Cost 10. Item size. Medium. Day's date. Yes. Quantity 5. Main menu. Exit. Yes. Ooh. Okay, so we are not writing the active though. So I need to, hold on, let me delete this. We need to delete the file in our system here. Or we can just write the active here really quick. So we'll do active. And then we'll say for save, we save quote active. And then we go here, item dot active. Next 9. Right? So now if I delete this guy, like so, Run the program, yes. Inventory. We can look at the file here. It was created, it was written, and active was added to it. Woo, awesome. We got active in there. So if we go add item, item name is going to be test, right? 10, size medium, use today's date, yes, quantity 5. Okay, list object has no attribute keys. List object. I'm not returning a list object. Oh, aha. Found that one fast too. Let's go. We're on a, what are we on a bug finder? We're bug finder over here. We're a bug hunter. Steve Irwin, Crikey the crocodile hunter. We're the bug hunter. We find the bugs. Okay. Yes, inventory. Add item. Test. 10. Size medium. Yes. Quantity 5. Okay. Okay. I gotta remember my double thumbs up, and I'll get the fireworks on the screen here. Watch if I get it right. 4, 3. Okay, let's go to our items class, our items file. We have active here. Oh! Come on, give it to me. Boom! We hear the boom! The Costco, the chicken bag. We gotta give it a boom! Hopefully people get my reference. They should. Those guys are so popular, right? Guitar riff. Yeah, we got to get that. Okay. Um, all right, so that's being successful. So now we can void out an item, and then when we try to calculate like maybe percentage of items versus whatever, or it won't be included in those statistical calculations, right? And also, the user can technically set the active state to false, thus removing it in our program's case, but they can always come back and set it to true just in case they want to bring it back into their system, right? And unless like we might be able to program some sort of like loss system where we just take the item and we consider it a loss, and if we don't want to ever just deal with it again, we want to literally like throw it away, then you'd have to just take it as a loss 1 year or something, and we'd have to factor that in, that cost. So, but like we said, is if we just deleted it, we paid for the item. We have to report that on our tax return, like right for the small business. Like it's a cost of a good. It's obviously some people don't, but it's the right thing to do. Is you have to report these cost items so you can get appropriate deductions for that year if it was acquired in that year and remained unsold. Because if you have inventory that carries over, it can maybe depreciate, and you have to be able to calculate that as well. Okay, now Schwat. Hey, Sky. Let's bring up Sky. Come here. Oh! I got Sky here. She's saying hello for the program. She's my little background cheerleader. She's off screen. She's the producer of the stream. So, yes. She's got bright blue eyes. I got her before I went to college. And we've been best buds. We've been ever since. She's my little companion in college and still is. She's about to turn 7 this year in February. She's middle-aged. Sad. But she's got a ton of pep in her step. She's great. She loves to play ball and loves bones. Okay. Now what? Well, that's the question, right? That is the question. So we need to. I'm gonna first go get git commit uh, refactored to a single item. Um, all right, it's official. We are loaded up. This is our new system here. All right. Um, should we add anything else before we maybe try to take a stab at problem 3 here? Do we want to give ourselves that headache before we call it for today? I was only going to do maybe about an hour and a half today. We're at 55 minutes. I already did 4 hours this afternoon, so I'm just going to do about an hour and a half this tonight and then watch some shows before I go to bed. Because I got work tomorrow. I got to start back on my project. I'm starting one of my bulk solutions um, up tomorrow. Well, I've been starting it. I've been building about halfway through the pilot version, which is just the small scale before I expand it to 500 plus liters. Um, and so I've got a deadline I have to meet this for stakeholders. um, yeah. Anyways, it's fun. It's fun. Um, okay, so now that we have the item in our possession, what do we exactly want to do with that item? Like we said, we need to now determine a like we have the item here, so we need to do something with it. Uh, let's go ahead and run um, do we want to run like edit item on this and have it be a separate function menu here so we can kind of clean things up, or should we just keep going within this big one? Hey, is it Moises? I don't think it's Moses. I think it's Moises. Ortega, where are you getting these exercises? Oh, sorry. I'm not doing these right now. This is the data structures and algorithms book in Python. This is online, or you can join my Discord link below where I have conglomerated all my study resources into one location for you guys. But right now I'm working on a personal project. Yeah. Okay. But I think I wanted to try to take a stab at one of these problems before we move on. So we're gonna say this is good for today on the personal project. We were successful today. We're very, very successful. We refactored our entire data structure down, right? Or into, if that's the right terminology, into a single item class. We made the parameters outside of the constructor um, init method. We set an active state. We included that in the file. We removed the other two files. We edited the load file and the save file, and we edited the accepting of the item. So now everything works great for what we had before we decided to change it up. So from here now, we can move forward and add in all these features for doing whatever we want with these items now. So, which is great. Um, let's just go ahead and take a stab now. Aloy at DSA. Okay, this should be fun. Okay, so for 3, um, draw the recursion trace for computing power to 18 using the repeated squaring algorithm as implemented in code fragment 4.12. So let's go up to code fragment 4.12 right here. Oh, they gave it to us. Why would they give us the oh, whatever. Okay, well at least we have an example here we can use. Kind of silly they asked you this question when they gave you one. Okay, so we have. So in this function, if our base case is if n is equal to 0, we're going to return 1, right? Just like before when we worked on problem 2, where if the value that recursively lessens becomes 0, we return 1. So else, yo, bros, watching your videos from India. Awesome. That's so fantastic. How's it? What time is it over there? I'm always interested in knowing the times of places. Thanks so much for stopping in. I appreciate you coming in. You're doing a great job. Keep going. Awesome. Well, that's fantastic news. I appreciate you so much for giving me such kind words, and thank you so much. You're so nice. Okay. And thank you for joining the channel in the stream. Um, so we need to write a recursion trace for this program. So let's go ahead and bring out our old whiteboard here. Yes, discard. Make this bigger, smaller. Okay. So this is our function right here, right? So we want to draw the recursion trace for a 2 to the power of 18. Okay, but we're dividing by 2, so it's not going to be that bad. Okay. I was like, 18, we're going to do 18 steps in this? 10:54 a.m. Oh, wow. Oh, so over in India, oh my gosh. In India, you're offset by the hours as well. It's not like a clean 12. Well, yeah, no dirt, Mike. Like, come on. I'm using up all my brain for this stuff. Okay. So we are trying to compute power 2 18. I'm gonna try my best to write nice. I'm using a magic mouse, guys. This. I gotta get a better mouse. Okay? By the way, any of you guys have recommendations for a better Apple mouse? Not an Apple specific one, but one that'll work really well with Mac. Please let me know. I have succumbed to the marketing scheme, and I've realized the truth. I can't really use this anymore. It's a struggle. It's a good portable mouse because it's so flat, but it's really unresponsive. Okay, so we start with 2 to the power of 18. Else we compute some partial by calling a recursion on our values of that, and then we multiply it by itself. So we call from this function, we call power of 2 of 9, right, n divided by 2, times the power of 2 power 9. Okay. Right, so that's our first recursion down. We then recurse down again and do power 2. 9 divided by 2 would be 4.5. Floored would be 4 times power 2, 4. We recurse down. Power 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Power 2. Hey, Spider Spliff, I'm live. How you doing? Thanks so much for stopping in today. Appreciate you coming in. 2 2. Do people do that? Do they post pre-recorded videos as live? Like they stream it live to have that live effect? Like, is it like stream farm? Is that the term? Do people do that for like stuff like this? Okay. So now we come down, we do power of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Boom. Times power 2, 1. Boom. Now we do power, recurse down one more time, power 2. Now 1 divided by 2 is obviously a half, 0.5. Floored is 0. So we still get 0 here, which is our base case. We have met our base case. Right? So we've met our base case here. Now, what do we need to do? We're going to return power times power. If n modulo 2 is equal to 1, take result and multiply it by x, else return result. So if it's an odd number, we multiply it by our x by 2 to get the result, else we just return the result. So if n divided by 2 is an odd number, which it is, n divided by 2 is an odd number. So we will catch this result at the end of at our case. Okay, so we have to keep that into account as well, right? So we have power. So we are doing the partial times partial right here, which is equaling result. And then if we have an odd number in the n place, we have to multiply this value by x, right? So this is going to be by x. This is even. This is even. So no, this is even. No, this is odd. So this gets multiplied by x. Is that right? We'll see. So if that's the case, we return 1 in these cases. We need to multiply by x here as well. No, this is 0. We don't multiply by x here. So we return 1 in this case. So we return the value of 1 for these two functions. So this then becomes 1 times 1 times our x value at this point, which is 2, which equals to 2. That is returned to this function, which becomes 2 times 2. The 2 is substituted and returned into each of these power functions. 2 times 2, but remember, and this one is not multiplied by an x, so this is 4. Then we pass this back into our previous recursion, where this p-value is this function is returned by 4, is a return value of 4, and this function has a return value of 4 via the previous the deeper recursion. So this becomes 4 times 4, which equals to 16, right? We pass 16 into this function, and we get 16 times 16 times 2. 512. And that is passed as the return value for 2 to the power of 18. No! Dang it! Ah. Crap. Dang it. Oh, that sucks. Okay, what did we do wrong? We passed 1 back to our function. We were 1 times 2 equals 2. We passed 2 back into our function. Oh, I felt so confident about that. I felt so good about that. That is a bummer. Ah, dang it. That was not a boom. Okay, so where did we go wrong, boys? Okay, so we went 2 to the power of 18. 2 to the power of 9, which computes to times x. Because it's an odd n value. If n is odd, in this circumstance, we have to multiply it by x. Dang it, crap. So, where did I go wrong? N is even here. 18 divided by 18 floor 2 is 9. 9 is odd, so we have to multiply by 2. Okay? 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Floor that is 4. We have to put 4 here. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 divided by 2 is a half. Floored is 0. If it's 0, we return 1. 0 is not odd, so we don't multiply by x. So it's return 1, which is 1 times 2 equals 2, which returns to 2 times 2 equals 4. Ah, where did we go wrong? Is it 218? Oh. Anybody have any ideas? Anybody? Go into Lifeline. I'm calling a Lifeline. Please. What do we think? Where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? 2 to the power of 18 reduces down. Floor divided by 2 is 2 to the power of 9, right? Because they do 13 divided by 2 would be 6.5, which is floored to 6. Six divided by 2 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, which is floored to 1. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Floored is 4. What's 512? What's 512? Oh, shoot. Okay, so we're one recursion trace away. Oh, I'm dumb. Okay, guys, we're no. I got this. Okay, we got it. We're right. We are right. We're just one step away. Okay? Right? The function before returns a magnitude of x times power no matter what unless you return 1, right? But in this function, you compute all the way and you return a result, no matter the recursion step. So we have to compute at this recursion step. We compute a partial times partial at P218. So this results into 512 times 512 equals, our n here is even, so we don't multiply by x. Catharsis, I am multiplying by x right here. Because 9 is odd. 9 is odd. Right? 9 is odd, so we have to multiply by x. And right here, 1 is odd, so we multiply by x. Right? So we are including it. But we have to recurse back one more step. We are performing a result equals partial times partial from this partial right here. Our partial is this function, right? N divided by 2 floored with an x out front. So we have to multiply it just like we have here. So 512 times 512 equals, according to the Jippity, 262 144. Boom. We got it. Come on, give me the fireworks. Boom. I'm on one tonight. I don't know. I must be streaming for too long. I've been doing this too long this weekend, guys. I'm on one tonight. Okay, so let's just quickly type this up into our example above. Into our here. So I'm gonna, okay. Yeah, exactly, right? I was able to find it like exactly catharsis. So we spent 2 hours working through two recursion problems, right? And with those 2 hours of just grinding, struggling on our own, like really trying to not use AI, really trying to figure things out on our own, trial and error, working these if statements around, working them around, telling AI to tell me in words where I need to go, not showing me code. Tell me what my next step would be in words rather than code. And so you have to deduce from the language, from English language into code, translate it into code yourself, thus making you think that way. So that 2 hours translated into us being able to solve this, and then like solve it to an extent, and then realize that we needed to actually go one step further because we were at a bug in our interpretation here. We realized that we were doing work still before returning. So our no, we had to send that result back to our first occurrence. So really awesome improvement, and I'm quite proud of myself honestly for being able to complete this problem. I was not looking forward to doing this one, but wow, we did that one in what, like 30 minutes? Maybe not even that. 15? 20? Okay. So let's say we need to go our first, let's bring up our whiteboard. So I need to know what I'm doing. Let me go over here. Okay, P power 218, right? And then we have power 2 9 times power 2 9. Then we have power 2 4. Then we have power 2 2. Then we have power 2 1. Then we have power 2 0, right? This returns 1, right? But via our interpretation here, we have to break these down into this, right? Because our base case, after we move past our base case, we compute by recurring power back, and we do an additional computation on that reoccurrence. So we have to account for that at our current step here in our stack. So it's just taking our partial and multiplying it by itself, taking the square of our current step. So we're just taking our power 2 9 and multiplying it by power 2 9. Exactly what we're doing right here. Power 2 9 by power 2 9 times power 2 9 at this stack level. So this becomes times power 2 4. This becomes power 2 2. This becomes times power 2 1. And then this becomes power 2 0, right? So this returns, we say base case met, returns 1 for each function power 2 0. Power x n equals 0, right? So the base case is met at this point. It returns 1 for each function of power x at n equals 0, right? So then, meaning, which equals to 1 times 1, which equals to 1 returned total. Okay. To prove recursion. Okay. Right here, 1 is received from deeper recursion below. As the value, 1 is returned, no, is received as the value return value for power 2 1. But as a for each power to 1. But if n but if n modulo 2 is equal to 1, we multiply this all by x. So this becomes 2. So this becomes becomes 1 times 1 times 2. Times x, which becomes 1 times 1 times 2, like that, which equals to 2 returned to prev recursion, right? The spirit of humans to learn from mistakes and evolve and adapt. AI ability to adapt. Gotcha. Are you using UG or PG? What do you mean UG or PG? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, I kind of a noob still. Okay. So we'll say here, 2 is returned. 2 is received from the deeper recursion. Is received IEVD or EIVDE? IEVD, okay. Spelling. No, it's EVD. Dang it, I always spelled that right, wrong. What was it? Received. Here it was EIVD. EIVD. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So now we'll say, are you doing undergraduate bachelor's or postgraduate master's studies? Yeah, so I graduated back in 2021 with a bachelor's of science in human biology and a minor in chemistry. I have been graduated since 2021, like I said, and I got a job very shortly after my college. I graduated as a formulation chemist for a biotech company, and I've been there ever since for the past about 3 years now. I'm learning Python as a hobby for one, but also to challenge myself, teach myself new skills, potentially break into other fields. Um, you know, additionally apply new skills on top of my current field, all that kind of stuff. So from the deeper recursion below, as the return value for each power to 2, right? But if n, no, we don't say that. That's no x here. So this becomes 2 times 2 equals to 4. Which is returned to previous recursion. Okay? here, 4 is received. I'm going to copy this because we can just copy this. 4 is received from the deeper recursion below as a return value for each power 2 4 function. So this becomes 2 times 2, or 4 times 4 equals to 16. 4, 8, 12, 16, yeah, which is returned to the previous function, which is returned to the previous function. Then here, we're going to copy this one, because 1 is also, this is also going to be an odd. So we say 9 is received from deeper recursion below as the return value for each power 2 to the power of 9. But if n modulo divided by 2 is equal to 1, we multiply all this by x equals by x. So we get, 16 here. 16 is received as the value. For this, we do 16 times 16 times x, which would be 16 times 16 times 2, which would give me 512. So, and then this one, 512 is returned back into the recursion. So here we get 512 is received from the deeper recursion below as the return value for each power 2 9 function. So down here I made a typo too. For each 2, is it returned as the power for each 2 18 function rather, sorry. 2 2, 2 4, 2 9, 2 18. So this becomes 512 times 512 equals to 262, 144, which is returned as our final value for 2 to the power of 18. Boom. Flopators. Whenever you want to learn new things, do you have a way to find textbooks to follow? Yeah, so honestly, my strategy for doing that was I would go to the Learn Programming subreddit or Learn Python subreddit, and I would just use the keyword search for books, and I would just try to gather a source of data myself, just going through the various forums and see which books came up most. And so right now we're working on data structures and algorithms in Python. That was one that came up. It's a great book to go for Python DSA. Right, so on my channel though, previously we read all of part 1, which is the learning aspect of Python Crash Course, where we taught ourselves and re-solidified the concepts of Python that we learned in Python in CS50P, which we took before reading this book. So this is a great book at solidifying those CS50P concepts. Through the subreddits online and through research, I picked up a copy of Fluent Python, which we will be reading, hopefully starting soon. I really want to start this soon. I think it could go hand in hand into the DSA and Python book and setting us up for good object orientation and getting good data structure. I think it would just help us up structure-wise, syntax-wise to get into this sooner rather than later. So I think once we get to maybe like halfway through this book, maybe to page like 300, we can maybe start taking a crack at swapping on and off days, DSA, Fluent Python, DSA, Fluent Python. And then after that, we will take a stab at just going into more of a niche of Python machine learning. So I found this one. This one wasn't this one wasn't really recommended that much. I just saw this was available on Marketplace for really cheap. So I just picked it up and said, I'll give it a read and learn, might as well. And we have a couple of people on the channel who follow, Jeremy, things like that. They're getting their degrees in machine learning and in programming and stuff, so that we have a lot of good resources that we can reference from them. So also I have copies of all of these books, their PDFs and everything. I've created a conglomeration or a compilation of all my study resources I use personally on the stream via DSA and Python, my repo links, everything down below in the Discord. So if you're interested in following that, please join the Discord where we can also communicate offline. And if you're enjoying the stream, feel free to support the channel, follow along. We're growing rapidly. I really, really, really like talking to you guys every night. It brings me a lot of joy, and I like doing this and learning. It's really fun, and and if you enjoy it, just maybe throw the vid a like or something, and that way we can get other people to maybe see it and get them in here and just keep growing. I really like talking to you guys, and it's really fun to get your guys' opinions on my work and my programs, and also help me out with these problems, and also learn yourselves along the way too, right? Through just that deeper level discussion. Cool. So that was this one. That was really cool. Um, I feel a lot better about this than I did this morning, let me tell you. 4-4, draw the recursion trace for the execution of function reverse sequence 0-5, code fragment 410 for the sequence 4-3-6-2-6. Okay. I'm actually going to, I think what I'm going to, interesting, like how you know how to teach yourself. So my main objective for teaching, I think that I'm fairly good. Like I'm not trying to toot my own horn or gloat, but I do think I have a good skill of teaching myself and being able to hold myself accountable for things, um, and for things that I'm passionate about. And obviously, I have to be passionate about things to want to do them. And but I'm good about forcing myself to not force myself, but make doing these things, and but making myself learn everything before I move on. I think that is key. Is people try to just brush over things in their own free time. I think they also, with the current environment of college and everything, where you're forced to take a intro level C course, a IT course, a cloud computing course, or whatever, all in the same semester, and then have to have tests and mastery after 3 months in all of these categories, and it just doesn't make any sense. And so by the end of it, you have so many gaps and have spread yourself so thin that really, when you're asked to actually do anything and perform, like you're just kind of like a piece of paper. You kind of tear, and that's kind of my analogy for it. So through this channel, I created this stream and this channel really to hold myself accountable. I have to go back and edit the videos that I make. I have to record the videos I make. Those are just hours and additional time I'm spending thinking about the material. I'm spending talking about the material. I'm spending watching the material. So just in sheer amount of raw hours and time, I'm equating to you know, understanding. Now, of course, we will get to a point where that linear or exponential trajectory of time spent and learning acquired will start to level off as we start to, learn less and less because we start to accumulate more and more knowledge. But for now, because we're so fresh and so new, that every new topic is exponentially moving us forward, and um, you know, I think that's what's creating that excitement right now. So if you have a current if you already have a CS degree, or it might feel difficult to continue learning because you're at that point where your asymptotic growth, you're leveling, and you're think about like a log like a big O function, like, right, your growth rate is starting to level, and so you can't really proceed with any more inputs without maybe sacrificing some other skills. I'm not sure. I'm just rambling and conspiracy theorizing and all that crap. But my idea is that currently I feel like CS students and just programmers maybe are getting spread out really thin just due to the market demands, needing to be so competitive and be so appealing to job applications that in reality they might not be able to bring to the table what someone that puts a dedication into a single area of specialized, right? So that's kind of where my approach is, and then once you have that, you can then expand, and then I believe that you will acquire those outside perspectives at an even faster rate because you don't have to go through these learning curves anymore. You went through the initial learning curve, and then which was extremely an initial extreme learning curve, but then every other learning curve from there is just reduced. So sorry for my ramble, but yeah. And do you actually prefer textbooks or online? Um, I got the physical books, but I think the viewers also appreciate having the online format. So I think I'll have the physical books as reference, and they're good to have, and I might read them again in my off in my free time. But I think what we'll do is we will stick with the PDFs just so I can show line by line what I'm reading audiobook style to the people so they can follow along. I feel like that also drastically improved my viewers. Before I was reading face down on the table with the book, and no one could see what I was reading. But now people can follow along directly. So I think the PDF is pretty key for the stream. You say you should start posting tutorials for like niche stuff, hard to explain stuff. I will be joining the Discord. Awesome, yeah. Niche stuff I know, like you think I should post like biology or chemistry tutorials? Like I maybe have to make another channel for that because I want this one to be kind of more computer science based and my programming journey, like more of a video journal of my programming. So I could make like a more another channel and post like acid base chemistry redox reactions and matrix calculations and um, you know what else is there? Um, Chemical equation balancing, all that kind of stuff. That'd be cool. I'd have to refresh big time though. Hi Worth. No, your name I don't want to say. That's so sad. Yeah, my educational background. I have a bachelor's of science in human biology and a minor in the chemistry side of it. I really focused on the kind of more cellular aspects of the human biology, like proteins, transmembrane cross functionality, transmembrane, bodies, things along those lines. What are they called? Like, obviously, there's like lipid layers and bilayers, but there's like that term for like a ligand. I think that's the kind of more. I was really focused on those receptors on the protein walls and lines. So kind of more like cellular biology, but just a broad human biology knowledge with a focus in chemistry. And I work as a formulation chemist. Um, Thanks so much for stopping in, Vanch. I appreciate you coming in. See you tomorrow. Um, what is Tyro? Tyro works fine, by the way. More like Python-based games and or websites and stuff. Interesting. All right, you guys. So tomorrow I will hop on stream around 7 p.m. PST, 6:30, 7 p.m. PST, like I do Monday through Friday. Um, oh, Tyro works fine as a name. Well, it's good to meet you, Tyro. Is it? Appreciate you coming in, and it's so fantastic talking to you today. Thanks so much for stopping in and showing me some support and joining the Discord and everything. And I look forward to working with you and network with you on programs and programming with you in the future. So thanks so much for being here, and for anyone else for that matter. I am so grateful for the support we've been getting on the channel. It's just crazy. But tomorrow, guys, I will open up at around 6:37 with. I will try to do maybe the first maybe two or even three, or if I'm even feeling good, I could just bang out all four of the remaining chapter four problems, and we could. I don't do the creative problems, but I kind of want to look at the Tower of Hanoi puzzle because I know that this is a pretty typical problem asked in a lot of college courses. Is the Tower of Hanoi puzzle? So we might take a stab at doing like 4 4, 4 5, and 4 6, and then maybe on Tuesday we'll do 4 7, 4 8, and then C14 as well. and then we'll move on to chapter 5. And so chapter 5 is going to be all about array-based sequences. So we're going to learn about um, Python sequence types, low-level arrays, dynamic arrays, amortization, efficiency in Python sequence types, user array-based sequencing. So this will be really good for getting into that data sets and how to manage them. So I'm super excited to dive into this with you guys. If that's something that sounds very interesting or something you want to learn as well, or judge me while I learn, I don't really. That's also an option. Yeah, I stream every day, Monday through Friday. At least I really try to. I announce on the Discord what time I'll be going live, and I announce also recaps of what I covered. But I try to go live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to about 9 or 9:30 p.m. Like I said, I do have a 9 to 5 job as a formulation chemist, so right now I'm putting in about in total, um, you know, 12 to 12 to 14-hour days with my job and then with going to the stream. So that's not, I'm not trying to get no pity. Another, it's my own choice, but I enjoy doing it. I like being busy. I need to be busy. It's just how my brain works. So I get flustered and I need something to do. I need to keep doing stuff, keep learning, keep pushing forward. So, um, but yeah, so 7:30 PST Pacific. I'm on the west coast of the United States of America, um, and then I'll be 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours if we get in really good flow state. I've done that sometimes. But then we will, like I do on the weekends. I've been doing double features this morning and yesterday morning. I streamed for about 3, 4, 5 hours, and then I kind of came back in the evening and streamed. So we've been putting in a lot of hours just learning, and I can definitely see that we're getting better. We're able to work through this recursion trace tonight without any help really from chat or AI. We were able to concur that we needed to go one level further in our recursion to get the right answer. So um, uh, it's just really a proof and a testament that this is working, and that our studying isn't in vain here. So if you guys are in a similar situation, it's definitely worth the cost to dive into, as if you're willing to commit and put in that time. You have the resources here within this community that we've built together to support you. And yeah, anyways, that's enough of my rambling. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for all the help. Again, we'll dive into these exercises, and then we'll again jump back into the small business manager, where today we refactored our entire data structure, and we're going to move forward from here with adding some more features. We're ready to continue forward, and we got to the point where the refactorization is done, and we can continue forward. So all right, you guys, thanks so much for joining. See you guys tomorrow. Hey Ozzy, thanks so much for stopping in. Sorry, I'm about to head out, but